Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood, Tony Schiavone. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
What's up, Conrad? How's everybody doing on this beautiful spring morning? As you can see behind me, I've got a couple of beagles who are laid out flat, which is the best way we can ask for them because these two things are obnoxious. God bless them.
Pat Patterson booked that. Looks like a double down.
It's a double down.
Where's Bryce Remsburg? Show us how he would count if when Remsburg was in the room with you.
1, 2. And now when he does this now, after he gets the 3, he looks at me.
Yeah.
Like, you ready? Yeah. 3.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Bryce is something else, man. He's Bryce, I know we had him on this podcast before, but he's a good employee and he's a good hire for AEW. I don't know why he wasn't taken up by a big company before we came along. Don't know why.
Super great guy. And one of my favorite memories of being at a live wrestling show, an independent wrestling show, was way back in 2005. There was a kind of a crazy dream match, I think dreamed up by Rob Naylor on the message boards. And it was Necro Butcher versus Samoa Joe, and Bryce Remsburg was the referee. And that's the first time I remember hearing someone's skull hit concrete. Before that day, I didn't know what plasma sounded like when it hit the pavement. But thanks to Necro Butcher and Samoa Joe, I know now. And it was after AEW got started when it clicked for me. Wait a minute. I know Bryce from 05. He was the referee during that massacre. It's crazy to think so many great talent, guys like Eddie Kingston and so many others, Orange Cassidy, they were just available and now they're all much bigger stars. Kudos to AEW to creating some opportunities for guys who were well-deserved.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And Bryce is in charge of our travel.
Yep.
And just does a great job. I want to tell you right now, if you want to look around at a wrestling promotion and say, let me pick out the job in this wrestling promotion that is biggest pain in the ass job that you can have, it would be travel.
Talent relations not far behind it. Creative not far behind that. Those are the worst three. Because no matter what you do, nobody's happy.
Nope. Right. I found that out. Nobody's happy, and it's my job to try to make them happy. And I like to say I'm pretty good at that, because I know how to treat people, and Bryce is too. I've only seen Bryce get mad at one wrestler. And I'm not going to say who it was, but we were in Calgary for the Stampede, and Bryce was so irate. He was just going off. And I was going like, settle down, little fella, settle down. But he usually can keep his head about him.
Well, shout out to Bryce, and shout out to all the hardworking folks behind the scenes at AEW. I know that it's an interesting time in the professional wrestling business because it feels like wrestling is hotter than ever. And it feels a little bit like the Monday Night Wars era in that it feels like there's some sort of new story developing every single day. I'm not saying about the competition between two companies and all that tribalism. I'm just saying, we went so long where it felt like, there wasn't a ton of major news or something to talk about, but it does feel like in the late 90s, man, every day there was some sort of new controversy, something new had everybody buzzing. And it feels like that's where we are now. Of course, on the other channel, they're getting ready for a big pay-per-view over in France in May, but you guys this weekend, my goodness.
Yeah. Coming up Sunday.
I can't believe that's real. This weekend, the card for Dynasty looks to be one of the strongest AEW pay-per-view cards ever. I'm really excited for this one. And no matter where you are in your fandom, if you've been on the fence about, should you or shouldn't you, I want to encourage you to check out AEW on pay-per-view. Those dudes always deliver. I mean, it feels like they deliver consistently on pay-per-view. And I don't think this will be any exception this weekend, Tony, but when you take a look at the card, it really is not just a one match show. And I know when this was first announced, everybody got so excited about Ospreay and Danielson that sort of feels like what everybody's talking about. But I want to remind you, you've also got another rematch with the Young Bucks and FTR. You've got Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland. You've got Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. You got the House of Black taking on Mark Briscoe, Eddie Kingston, and Adam Copeland, Willow Nightingale and Julia Hart, Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa. Did I mention Okada and Pac? I mean, this is a loaded freaking card, dude. And it's coming up this weekend in St. Louis.
The Okada Pac match was the one to me that put it over the top.
Yeah,
because both are just tremendous performers. Pac is one of my all-time favorites. He really is. And then they made the World Tag Team title match a ladder match to add to that. So it'll be some spectacular stuff. And I do get pumped up about pay-per-views. One of the reasons I get it pumped up about pay-per-views is I know I don't have to work the entire show. So I'm going to enjoy it. The St. Louis, the fans last time we were in St. Louis were chanting, "We want a pay-per-view, we want a pay-per-view," and Tony gave it to them. So why not St. Louis? It's a good place to have great wrestling matches. One of our bonus podcasts that you and I did for the month of March that just dropped here in April, Flair and Bruiser Brody from St. Louis at the Checker Dome. So St. Louis always had great wrestling, and now it's going to be another one.
Well, I, for one, am fired up about this. I believe this will be the first ever singles match between Danielson and Ospreay, the first ever singles match with Okada and Pac. No matter where you are on your wrestling fandom, if you ever were a fan of the in-ring action, boy, they always deliver in spades in AEW. I can't wait for this weekend show. If I'm honest with you, it kind of snuck up on me. I was getting ready to say next weekend, but it's actually this weekend, this Sunday night. Right. It's going down 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Of course, there's always that 0 hour, the pre-show. There'll be some action there and some interviews. And I am really pumped up about this, man. I don't know why I'm fired up about this pay-per-view in particular, but I think it's going to be an awesome effort. I don't remember being disappointed in many AEW pay-per-views, and I can't imagine this will be the exception.
No, some are better than the others. I don't think anyone who pays for it feels like they got gypped. I think anybody who pays for it feels like they got their money's worth. I know there's probably going to be people online who say it sucked, and of course that's tribalism again. But you know how I feel about those people. But anyway, boom, boom, boom. Ready to go.
Hey, go right now, AWTIX.com. If you're in the St. Louis area, tickets are on sale. I'm scrolling around and you can actually still get some pretty good seats. I'm looking in the lower level and there's a handful of seats there. Not very many. I mean, I'd say like 8, but boy, they're still there and they're great seats. So if you're on the fence, I have a feeling that everybody's going to be talking about this particular show. You want to be at it. It's St. Louis. It's this Sunday, AEW Dynasty, April 21st, AEWTIX.com. And here's the thing. I know we don't talk about current stuff, but I just got to get your opinion because when I took a look at this card, I was so excited to see Ospreay and Danielson, and then excited to see Bucks and FTR, and then excited to see Okada and Pac. And I just kept going and I was like, man, this is unbelievable. We got 2 women's matches on there and they're great matches. Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa, Nightingale, and Julia Hart,
right?
But no Mercedes Moné. So I guess that's going to be at the Vegas pay-per-view, right?
Yes, the Vegas pay-per-view. She's going to face hey, sweetheart, you want to be on camera? She's going to face the winner, I guess, or who's ever the TBS champion at that time. I'm not sure.
Is that Scout who just tried to jump on you?
That was Scout. Yeah.
So,
and that's Kirby Lane in the background.
Yes.
Right.
Of course, we're talking about Tony's dogs. And of course, the big part of our show that is no longer a part of the show is our man, Biggity Bug. He was always sitting behind Tony for each and every one of our podcasts. Before Tony got knee deep back into wrestling, he was still pulling double duty, doing this podcast and still calling some baseball for the Gwinnett Braves. And he had his own bobblehead. And it wasn't just enough for Tony to have a bobblehead. We wanted to memorialize Bug. And now that's still out there. You can see those pop up every now and again on eBay. And Tony, during the course of this podcast, got a bug tattoo, and we turned it into temporary tattoos on our shop and even made a shirt. And now we've got a new initiative. We're going to start pushing some bug merch and pushing some bug shirts. And we're not keeping any of the money. We're donating every bit of it to a great cause. Tell them about it, Tony.
The cause is Angels Among Us. It's where we got the two dogs that you're seeing behind me right now. It's there are many, many rescue sites, especially in metro Atlanta, where I live in the metro area. And some of the bigger ones, and I'm not saying you shouldn't donate to these people, but Humane Society, the American Humane Society, National Humane, there's Atlanta Humane, but I prefer the smaller ones
Mm-hmm.
that really need your help. So Angels Among Us is the one that we're going to donate money uh, to from the sale of these shirts, and there's God bless him, that little boy. There he is. There's Bug, and there's these shirts. Proceeds go to Angels Among Us Animal Rescue. Go to lowestrules.com, lowestrules.com. Tell your friends. That's the reason. Even if they don't want a shirt, you can also get in touch with me. Most of you know that you can get in touch with me at helloslapdicks at gmail.com. And I can set you up to where you can donate to Angels Among Us and let them know that you're donating on behalf of Bug, who was with me for 13 years, always by my side. And it was a horrible day that we had to put him down, but I made sure that he was in my lap and I made sure that he was looking at me when he went to sleep. So there you go. Love your animals, take care of your animals as we do here. There you go.
Angels
Please help.
Among Us is a non-profit rescue group, and it is an animal rescue, a 501c3. Strongly encourage you to check them out. It's been a big deal and a big part of Tony's life, and all the proceeds for these shirts will go directly to them. Find out more about them at angelsamongusanimalrescue.org. That's Angels Among Us Animalrescue.org. If you don't want a shirt, there is a button in the top right hand corner for you to click donate. But if you're going to be attending an AEW shirt and you want or an AEW show or a Tony Schiavone meet and greet and you want a little extra love, show up with his man Bug. Lowestrules.com is where you can pick up these shirts. And again, 100% of the proceeds goes directly to Angels Among Us Animal Rescue. Find out more about their great organization at angelsamongusanimalrescue.org.
There's Angels Among Us everywhere. The one, of course, that we take care of or try to take care of, and we donate to every month. Money to every month is the one in the Atlanta area. But
there you go. There you go. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, boys and girls, dogs are special. They're important to all of us. And man, I can't imagine. I got to tell you, ever since this happened with Bug, my dog is Ginger and Megan's dog is Baby. But dude, I've been loving on Ginger something extra, something fierce ever since. So hug them a little tighter, man. Tomorrow's not promised. And yeah, lowestrules.com. Pick up that Bug shirt.
Or I think also Dave put up on the message, if you're with us live here, it's also boxofgimmicks.com.
There you go.
I think it goes to the same place, right?
Yeah, it's all the same thing. All the same thing.
All the same thing, right? So there. I got a story.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
That I want to share with everybody, and Dave will throw up the picture here in just a moment. We had, which I thought was a very good show. I had a chance to work with Matt Menard on Saturday, and we did 2 hours of Collision and then an hour of Battle of the Belts 10 on Saturday. And I thought it worked out quite well. So we meet with Tony Khan at about 6, and we stay in there till about 7:15. And at 7:30, I go into the talent relations room, which is where I stay. And I reach down to look at something in my computer, and there was a board hanging down, and the board caught me in the head. Okay. And I'm thinking, oh, I got a bump. All right. So I go in the bathroom and I take a piss in the bathroom. and now I feel something in my head. Now there's blood streaming down my
Oh
face.
God.
Okay. Now we're talking about 30 minutes before airtime.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, and I'm reaching for the toilet paper, and I got the suit on, so I'm still doing this. I'm pissing, reaching for the toilet paper, blood streaming down my face, and doing this with one hand. I finally get some toilet paper in my hand. I put it up, and I go across to the room where the doctors are, and so they are patching me up. And we got that picture of me getting patched up by the doctor. Uh, uh, the the bird that you're seeing there, you see Megan, who's one of our great physicians, and the bird you're seeing is because somebody from social media came in,
Jeff Jones.
and well, it wasn't Jeff. Jeff wasn't there. It's one of his minions, and he said, "What the fuck happened to you?" I'm not going to say what I told him what happened to me because it was really funny. Okay, but
You don't want
and
us
he
to
said,
laugh. You don't want us to laugh.
uh, so anyway, uh, I said,
Got it.
you're trying to pull it out of me, don't you?
Yeah,
Aren't
no,
you?
I understand what I'm picking up what you're putting down now. I got it.
Okay, so anyway, I said, what? He said, I want to take a picture for Jeff Jones. Let him know what's going on. I said, oh, take this picture. So they patched me up as best they could, and then I ran over to makeup because there was blood in my scalp, and they're cleaning up my scalp. And now it's like 7:45, and we got to be out there like at like 7:50. And I go down to makeup, and they're pulling my hair, and I do the interview with Thunder Rosa, and I get, as soon as I sit down after the text Thunder Rosa, I get a text from JR that says, "Need a haircut, fella."
So great.
So anyway, so just to let you know that I was very lucky that we had medical staff because it was pouring down my face. I probably should have walked out with blood pouring down my face. It would have
Oh,
been
dude,
great.
it would have been awesome.
Yeah, right.
You could have just been like, I ran into John Moxley backstage and look what
Yeah, that
happened
would
to
have been
me.
good.
Yeah. Hey, that's a wild story. I mean, did you have to get a stitch or anything or no?
I did not need to get a stitch, but they had to put pressure on it, and they had to put pressure on it, and then they had to I don't know, put something on it, whatever. I just texted you and Dave what I said, and I said it loud for everybody to hear me. And so it was quite an adventure, but it didn't bleed anymore, and here I am.
Can I
Old.
I got a little pro tip for you, Tony, and maybe you could
Right.
start doing this because I realize that, necessity is the mother of invention. And so if you're going to be continuing to make these towns 48 shows a week and, frequent flyer miles and diamond status on every airline in the world, then you
Yep.
probably got to start having some backup plans. And you've told us
Okay.
before that you travel with an extra pair of underwear because you're just
Yes.
prepared.
I need to add this, and I almost shit my pants too when I hit my head.
Oh, that's great. That would have been
Okay.
awesome, man. If you
Yeah.
could have been gushing, peeing, and shitting all at the same time.
And reaching at the same time.
If you could have
It'd have
worked a sneeze in.
Classic. It'd have been a classic old man night, wouldn't it?
It's a hat trick of gross bodily fluids. Here we go. Hey, serious business. You should start traveling with the Amazing Kind. I think some of those topicals could have helped you. I know for sure the infused oil could have helped you afterwards. TheAmazingKind.com has everything you need. It's plant-based pain relief balms, creams, and gels for your muscles and joints, and all of your infused oils for mood support and sleep, all available at TheAmazingKind.com. And when you buy right now, you'll get 20% off all of your orders when you use the promo code WRESTLE. That's right. Promo code WRESTLE. Your body will thank you. You're going to get 20% off, and I'm telling you, this really, really works. The Amazing Kind is good for everything that ails you. First, I want to just tell you about the folks who do this. It's a family-run business. Their products are of the highest quality. They're going to test them for quality and purity to make sure that everything is GMP certified. They want to make sure it's exactly the best of the best. You're getting exactly what's on the label, and they've got everything. High-quality topical balms. They've also got creams and gels for muscles and joint relief. They got those infused oils and soft gels for mood support and sleep. It's all made from all natural sun grown hemp and then infused with nutrient dense MCT oil. And the fellow behind this, the founder, man, he's one of us, a big wrestling fan. He used to work in the wrestling space. He was a producer and editor for the WWE. He worked on their commercials and marketing. And now he's helping people feel better. You know, we got old people in the backstage area taking bumps and gigging and bleeding from the head. Well, they're going to need some oils, and that's what we got them. And I can't recommend this enough. I know that some people are slow to adopt this. I got to tell you, the real life story is my parents, man, they are CBD users now, but they weren't sold on it. They had a different impression of what it was. You got to remember, these folks grew up in a different time where some of this stuff to them meant subculture. No, that's not what this is. This is totally legal and it's awesome and it makes you feel better. Why wouldn't you do this? If you're on the fence, I encourage you to try it. I know for sure that you've told us before here on the show, Tony, that Lois has struggled with insomnia, but these oils, man, they can really help you fall asleep and stay asleep. If you're having trouble falling asleep or you're just waking up, tossing and turning back and forth to the back, if you just want to remove or reduce rather the number of those awakenings during the night and get more uninterrupted sleep, more quality sleep, this oil is for you. If you have trouble falling asleep and maybe you just need your mind to calm down and you need a more restful, a less stressful, a more rejuvenating sleep experience, these oils can really help. We're talking about CBN, man. You can get like all kinds of options at theamazingkind.com. How about 5,000 milligrams of CBD oils for mood support? Yeah. 500 to 5,000. You can get CBD, CBG, CBN, man, the amazing kind. They're good people. They're family owned. They're wrestling fans like us, and they're really helping people. Bruce used this after he had his shoulder surgery. Lois uses this to sleep. It's good for what ails you too. Go right now to theamazingkind.com. You'll get 20% off all orders when you use our promo code WRESTLE. Your body will thank you. So Tony, without further ado, let's do it, man. We're going to be watching an old school episode of Monday Night Raw. We're going to go back to April 17th, 2000. Those folks are listening to this. This was 24 years ago today. And WCW is still limping along. On the other channels where they're doing like the Big Bang and they're blowing everything up, and Russo and Bischoff, oh my, and we're stripping champions and getting ready for it's just a wild time in WCW. Meanwhile, the WWF is trucking right along, but you weren't watching this back then, right, Tony?
No, I was not watching the competition, much like today where I really don't watch the competition. And I've given my reasons. I think that, as a wrestling fan, you can watch it, but as a wrestling announcer, I think sometimes we try to mimic what we hear. I go back to what Vin Scully said years ago, to me, the greatest baseball announcer ever, who said, I don't listen to anybody else because I want to be my own person. And he never listened to any other baseball announcers. So I try not to listen to any other wrestling announcers do their stuff. I guess I could watch it with the sound down, but I don't watch it today, and I didn't watch it back then. I'm worried about my own shit.
Well,
not anybody else's.
I want everybody to watch with us. I think this will be fun. We are not going to be voice tracking it. So Tony and I are just going to make fun of it. If you want to hear the audio, you're just going to watch it on your own some other time, but do a third screen experience with us. Watch along with us. It's April 17th, 2000. Or if you're watching on Peacock like we are, you just want to look up Monday Night Raw. Go to season 8, episode 16. One more time. It's April 17th, 2000. Or according to Peacock, season 8. Episode 16 of Monday Night Raw. And this ought to be a fun show. Before we do a countdown and press play, Tony, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least offer you an opportunity to respond. Because as you've probably seen, you went kind of viral last Wednesday.
Right.
And now we've had like a week of Tony Schiavone memes and lots of speculation and people jumping to conclusions, and people are really reaching based on what they think they saw. And I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, so I'll just lay out and let you have a chance to respond if you'd like to.
I think it's hilarious, not hilarious. I think it's probably apropos that people can take screenshots and assume anything from a screenshot. my facial reaction to what happened was my facial reaction trying to um, put more heat on the Bucks for being assholes within the storyline itself.
Right.
I did not have any reaction to the footage we saw because I don't give a damn.
And
They can
it's not like it was new for you.
No, that's right. So what?
Yeah.
So fucking what? So I was not upset at the promotion. I was not upset at Tony Khan. I was not pissed off about what we had shown. I was I was trying to be fully in the moment of the angle, which is the Bucks bitching about FTR, not wanting to shake their hands and getting fucked around
Right.
and everything. That's what I was doing. But of course, everybody wants to create their own story, and that's fine. That's what social media is about. Social media is about idiots coming together and trying to come up with their own ideas. So, yeah, maybe I was still upset about Bug. I don't know, but I didn't give a shit about the footage, and still don't. Show it all you want. Okay, don't give a shit. I'm sincere when I say I don't care. I don't care. It has no impact on my life. Okay. Some people are saying, "Oh, the footage that you were showing is like the finger poke of doom moment for AEW." Well, you know what? That's what you want it to be because you wanted to see us fail. And there's no way, because I was in both companies. There's absolutely no way that you can compare us to WCW. You can't. You may want to. You may think you're right. You're wrong. You cannot compare us to WCW. I was there at both. You were not. So there's that.
Well said, Tony.
Okay.
You and I have not talked about it, but I knew that was your reaction because when I
Mhm.
would tell you anything about the Georgia Bulldogs or Alabama or the Atlanta Falcons or whatever, you would always hit me with I don't give a shit.
Yep.
So it's like, I can't imagine that you care about this either.
I'm really happy about uh, my attitude in life right now. I really am. I care about AEW and I care about my family. I care about my dogs, even though my dogs look like, if you're watching right now, they're wiped out again on the floor. Um, and I care about my family. I care about AEW. I care about my dogs. I care about Tony Khan because he's a good person. I care about the people I work with. And you know what? That's fucking it. Okay? That's fucking it. I don't care about anything else. And I don't care. First of all, I don't care about your opinion. And I don't. And so you can meme me all you want. The good news is, unless somebody sends it to me, which a couple people did, I won't see it. So you know what? Fuck you. I won't see it anyway.
All right. Well, after we told our audience, fuck you, let's go ahead and
Fuck you.
encourage
Yeah.
them to pull it up right now. Let's get on it. I'm fired up. This is going to be fun. You've never seen it. It's season 8, episode 16. It went down April 17th, 2000. As folks are listening to this 24 years ago. Tony, you ready for the countdown?
Yeah, we asked for some countdowns, if you'll recall, last week.
Yes, sir.
And we did get a few.
All right.
So I'm going to send them in order. This one comes from Rocco D, and one of our listeners. And Rocco sent us what I thought was a very, very good countdown. You ready for it?
Yes, sir.
I think everybody's going to enjoy it.
Heavyweight champion of the world, Hulk Hogan. I cannot believe that the pressure is not starting to get to you.
Well, you know something, Mean Gene? The pressure has been getting to me, brother. As I've been hanging and banging in the gym, I've been seeing people beg the Hulkster, brother. Please come and help Tony Schiavone. Come out and help Conrad Thompson, man. They just need a countdown, dude. They're totally out, man. The well has run dry. But you know something, brother? I've been looking at Tony Schiavone, and I've been seeing he's been hanging and banging, man. He's been dropping the pounds. And he is just inches away from his goal, man. He's just a few pounds away. And I know something that can help him out, man. Because I've been talking to the big man upstairs. I've been saying my prayers. I've been taking my vitamins. And I've been saying to all my little Hulkamaniacs, man, get behind Tony Schiavone, brother. But you know something? I think I know just the cure to get him over that hump, man, to help him reach his weight loss goals, brother. That is giving him a little bit of a countdown, dude. So me and all my little Hulkamaniacs have only one thing to say to you. 3, 2, 1, press play.
How about that?
That was tremendous, wasn't it?
Man, he got into that. That was awesome.
Yeah, it sounded great, man. That was a great Hulk impersonation too.
So we're opening up with the old signature of the show here. This is before we were WWE. We're still the scratch logo WWF. And man, I just love this old badass theme here. Isn't it wild to see the Hardy Boys just flying around the ring here in 2024 and Jeff's still active in AEW today? It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
What do you think of the pyro like that when it flies in like a bomb like that?
Yeah, scares the shit out of me.
Looks awesome to me.
It does. Pyro is still a big part of wrestling today, as we know. Look at the freaking signs.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And one of those guys had a pretty well done Raw is War sign. So here we are, Penn State University.
Oh.
You know, we're on the heels of WrestleMania 2000, which was not the best WrestleMania. It was a McMahon in every corner. So it's not like creatively we're clicking on all cylinders here. It's kind of a tough period. I'll be honest. I know that a lot of wrestling fans look back at 99 and 2000 and 2001. And I mean, I've had a lot of my friends who say out loud to me, oh man, 2000, 2001, those are the best 2 years of wrestling. And I'm like, really? They did not connect with me like that. Like,
yeah,
97 did, 98 did, but by 99, it started to feel a little different than in 2000. I just wasn't digging it as much. And, I think creatively it was just, less than, and some of that's because Stone Cold's out, you know, and WCW just kind of sucked. Oh, look at the backstage area here. Little family reunion. Shane snapping on the big eagle around Triple H's waist. Stephanie is there holding her women's title over her wrist. So this is the reign of terror era of Triple H, I suppose. What a crazy family that's wound up being, huh?
Wow. Wow. Boy, what a reaction for Jericho also.
Dude, he's going to be a big star. Of course, this is Y2 Jericho, Y2J, and they just debuted him not too terribly long before this, a handful of months. He's still trying to figure it out here in WWE. He wrote a lot in his book about getting comfortable with the WWE way and the WWE style. And I think it's more than just the ring is different. You know, in WCW, they used cables. Here in the WWF, they use ropes. In WCW, it was an 18-foot ring. Here in the WWF, it's a 20-foot ring. So your timing and everything's a little differently, but just the way they presented the product on television, I think that was a learning curve for Jericho.
Yeah, that was a learning curve. And also there's a learning curve. And, you know, it's a learning curve that kids find out today is that you can get by with a lot more in other promotions than you can in the WWE. WWE had their own way of doing things, and you had to abide by that way. There was no wiggle room. Now, I'm not. Did Jericho ever say who came up with Y2J?
Yes,
because I would think did he come up with it?
I thought so. I thought that was sort of
the reason idea. Is I say that is that I know Jericho's very good about coming up with his own stuff.
Right.
Everything you see on TV that Jericho does today, Jericho came up with. So he's very good about thinking about his character, thinking about his storyline. Very good at that. We need more people like that who, you know, not everybody, but a lot of people complain about the creative.
Right.
But many people who complain about the creative do not have any idea what they want to do. Jericho always does have an idea no one presents to Tony. I shouldn't say no one, but not many people present to Tony, hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. Here's an idea for a storyline. Sometimes if you say, okay, I don't like my creative, but here's an idea. Sometimes the promoter will say, hey, let's go with it. I didn't really think that back then that happened that much in the WWE. You had to really do things their way.
So this is, they're setting up a hot angle here to start the show, Tony. That's the reason we're watching this one. Jericho's on the outside cutting a promo. We've just seen Triple H slide in. That's Jim Dotson, the jacked up guy inside the guardrail. He's the head of WWF security in that era. A very young Mike Chioda is the referee.
Yep.
And, yeah, as you can see, Hunter is pissed at Jericho, and Jericho is continuing to goad him. He wants a title shot. So, now they're acting like, is it non-title? Is it for the title? And so, of course, Jericho is like, no, I want a title shot. And of course, the whole crowd pops. So that's how we're going to do this. By the way, WCW had some good momentum, according to Dave Meltzer, in this era. Raw did a 6.75 rating and a 10.3 share.
Yikes.
And that is going to devastate the momentum that WCW had. They did a 2.47 with a 3.7 share. The lowest Kevin Sullivan booked was a 2.51, but here in 2000, this is the Russo era. So Meltzer's going to say the rating can't be blamed on the strength of the Raw show because the first hour did so poorly that before anyone knew that Raw was opening with the title match, the total pro wrestling audience remained at 9.7 million viewers. It's crazy, isn't it?
That's unbelievable. That shows you a couple of things. It shows you how hot wrestling was. And number two, it shows you how things have changed today in watching TV. We'll never get those numbers again.
Man, they're off to a hot start. Kyoto's ringing the bell, and the APA's here to make sure there's no funny business. Jericho's getting after it. Mm-hmm. The Acolyte Protection Agency, that's Bradshaw and Ron Simmons.
Okay.
They had one of the worst shirts in the history of wrestling. But when you go back to 99, I think it was 99, it may have been 98, but certainly in 99, they were quote unquote acolytes, meaning they were a part of the Ministry of Darkness and the Undertaker's crew. And they came out here with all these little insignias on their shirts, or their chests rather. And eventually we started to, character them up a little bit. So we would see them in the backstage area, drinking and smoking cigars and playing cards. And people started to come to them for protection, like it was the mafia, I guess, maybe.
Right.
And they called themselves the Acolyte Protection Agency, or the APA. And they had one of the worst shirts of all time, where it said on the back, always pounding ass.
What?
I don't think that's a shirt you should wear in the Walmart.
No, I don't. The one that Ron Simmons had, we just saw the back of it, said, don't take this ass kicking personally.
Yeah.
Or something like that. That was.
By the way, this is going to be built. This entire show is built around the Linda McMahon announcement of the return of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, okay.
That segment got a 7.68, and it destroys the overrun with the Hogan Bischoff Nitro climax with the Bret Hart cliffhanger.
Okay.
So that's happening over on Nitro, and it gets a 1.73. Austin coming back as a 7.68. Isn't that wild?
Isn't it something that you're talking about? Hogan and Bret Hart, two of the biggest stars ever in wrestling, right?
Yeah.
But they can't compete with this. What does it tell you? It tells you that, to me, it tells you that great storylines trump everything. Yeah, I got to slow these beagles down, or they're going to knock over a light stand here. Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves. I love it. I want to give a shout out to everybody who's joining us on the live feed this morning. Of course, when you sign up at adfreeshows.com and Patreon, you not only can be a part of the show and get the shows early and ad free, you get to be a part of the live studio audience. So shout out to Lindsay and Coach Rosie, and I know Brooks in the house, and Coach Keith and Amy Vaughn. Shout out to Rajiv. Been a while since I saw Rajiv in here. Denovius Mack, always down for a good time. And shout out to Anthony. We got a good little crowd hanging out with us today, man, watching some old school wrestling, including DJ Turnup. How about that?
DJ Turnup is turned up. How about that?
I like when DJ Turnup turns up.
I do too.
I think I need to get him to come down to the watering hole with me and Cassio and play some remixes that just mock you. Definitely. It'd be fun if we were drinking again one day.
Yeah, I've stopped drinking. Lowest drinks enough for 10 people. So I thought I'd just cut it down to 9 people.
I hadn't thought about it. And then somebody asked me today, this morning, actually, by text message, are you still drinking? And I go, I don't know what that means, but now that I'm thinking about it, I guess since November, I've drank 4 times.
Yeah.
So I'm not naching it, but I'm not stone cold sober.
Well, I did have a beer recently, and I don't even remember where I had it, where I was. But I thought,
What's your go-to beer, bud?
well, here's what I did. Uh, I had a beer, and I looked on Weight Watchers, and I saw that I could have a light beer, and it was worth 6 points, and I had 6 points left. And so, just to piss Lois off, I had a Bud Light, and because she was on that Bud Light thing with Kid Rock or whatever, and
Wait, she didn't like Bud Light?
no, she didn't like Bud Light
Oh, God. We gotta
because
get
they're woke beer now. She says,
we gotta get her
So,
off Facebook.
yeah,
It's killing her.
yeah,
Who gives a fuck what's on a can? Do you like what's
know.
in the can?
yeah. So anyway, but she's really into wine now.
Oh, that's a new development.
Yeah. Um, so there you go.
Well,
I
wait,
don't
what
know
does
what
that
to say.
mean? She's really into wine now.
She drinks a lot of wine.
I got that, but you were like, just to piss Lois off, you were talking about your 6 points and your beer, and then you go, she really likes wine now. And I'm just trying to connect the dots here.
Just she drinks a lot of wine. A lot of wine. I don't know if you've ever gone to Kroger's, but Kroger has a bag that they have to carry your wine in. And it's for free. It's a very nice bag. It's a reusable bag. It's a cloth bag, or it's made out of recycled plastic. And you can put bottles of wine in there. It fits 6 bottles of wine in it, or 3 big bottles of wine. And every time I go to Kroger, I fill up that bag. Just shows you how much wine she's drinking. That's fine. Drink the wine.
Drink the wine. Dig that
the wine.
girl. I
Yeah.
know it's spilled wine, but whatever.
A bottle of wine to make me feel fine. When
Hey-
you gonna let me get sober? Leave me alone. Let me go home. Let me go home and start over. You heard that song?
No.
Okay.
By the way, this show does a 5.9 in the opening segment here. This Jericho versus Triple H. It's head to head with Adams and Clark Chronic against Vito and Johnny Stromboli.
There you
Got a
go.
little Sting Vampiro confrontation. That gets a 2.22. The finish of this match, which we're about to go over into, does a 6.66. The sign of the beast. Jerry Lynn shout out. And that's going to be the conclusion of Jericho and Triple H. And that's going to be heads up with DDP and Awesome and a Tank Abbott segment that Nitro pulls in a 1.79 for. We just saw a big ref bump from Mike Chioda. Now you see Triple H rolling around on the mat, and up goes Jericho to the top rope. Shane McMahon knocks him down, and here comes Bradshaw and Ron Simmons giving chase. This is going to be a hot finish here, and it was a big major moment. I mean, I remember watching, I don't remember a lot of 2000 because it wasn't my favorite fandom year, but I remember watching this. I remember where I sat when I watched it because I couldn't believe what I thought they were doing.
Okay, so Steph has thrown the belt in now.
Yep.
Were Steph and Triple H married at this time?
No, they weren't married yet.
Okay.
By the way, this is a sellout here, as you might imagine. 11,611 fans. Jericho got the belt, nailed Triple H. There's no referee.
Yeah.
Stephanie shocked. You can see the crowd counting along.
Right.
This is the first segment on the show. Here comes Mr. Hebner.
And he kicks
Triple
out.
H kicks.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
Dude, it's a hot finish.
Yep.
Wait till you see what they do.
Okay.
You could tell he's Harley Race and Ric Flair inspired at times. Triple H, is he not?
Yeah. You know what? A lot of people were.
Oh yeah. How could you not be?
Yeah. Right.
I think this year too, like January of 2000, you go back and you watch his Royal Rumble match with Mick Foley, which is one of my favorite matches ever. I think this is the best physically that Triple H ever looked here, the year 2000. Oh, how about this? Lion Salt 1, 2, 3. Jericho just won the world title.
Wow.
It's the opening segment. Kyoto took a bump. Triple H attacked the referee. Hebner did maybe a fast count.
Mm-hmm.
APA preventing Triple H from going after Hebner. Stephanie's pissed. Jericho has the world title. Look at the crowd. Isn't this awesome?
Wow.
The crowd, I mean, I know we're not listening, Tony, but you got to go back and listen to the sound here because the crowd lost their mind. You know, they made Jericho. To put this in context, this is April of 2000. It's December of 01. So like 20 months away before he beats Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night to become the world champion, because they're about to do a dusty finish right here and take it away from him, Tony.
Of course.
They go to a commercial and we think Jericho's just won the world title.
Mm-hmm.
We come back and we're going to see the dusty finish. That should have been, as you imagine, a DQ. You can't push a referee down.
Right.
There's the Lion Salt. And that's it. Look at the crowd, dude.
Oh, they are going bananas.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So they're going to take it away from him tonight on this show?
Yes.
Okay. Dusty would wait until the next TV.
Look at the scene here in the locker room for the announcers, which I think, I mean, not the announcers, but the referees, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
There's Kyoto, there's Corderas, Hebner, Teddy Long.
Yeah. Oh, he's taking Hebner out to the woodshed.
Yep.
That's what he's doing. And
I mean,
they are going what, to the gorilla position?
They're going to go out. So it's in front of the people.
In front of the people. Okay.
This is the era where they didn't walk you through gorilla. Now they have no big deal walking you through gorilla, but back then it was still like, you're not supposed to see.
Right. What's going on? Because they got Hebner, they got Kyoto. Hebner's in a Cobra clutch.
Well, this is a great segment. I mean, just going and getting the referee out of the referee's dressing room, I thought was a great touch.
Yeah.
Nice storytelling here. You need villains, you need heels, you need someone to boo, and you need a bully, and you need someone to pick on, and, you know, an underdog. And they checked all the boxes with this. This was really well done, I thought.
Yeah.
By the way, we should mention, while they've got 11,611 fans here in State College, Pennsylvania, a full-blown sellout for Monday Night Raw. You guys are doing Nitro over in Rockford, Illinois. There's 3,177 paying fans there. The card that night, think about how crazy this sounds. Stasiak and Henning, Harry Funk and The Wall, DDP and Mike Awesome, Lex Luger and Shane Douglas, Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner.
Funny you should say that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because this was the night that I showed up in Rockford, Illinois, and Scott Hudson was there. And I was told by Bischoff that he's taking me off of Nitro because he thinks I'm overworked and thinks I'm stressed out, thinks I'm, he was just reaching for straws, what he was doing. And I didn't mind it, but I really wish he would let me know beforehand, before I got there. I thought that was pretty petty. So,
well, no, you were still on the call. It was Mark Madden, yourself, and Scott Hudson, but you were saying he added Scott.
No, apparently didn't that happen before then. There was a time where I showed up. I thought it was Rockford, Illinois that I showed up, and they used Scott Hudson instead of me.
Oh, okay.
I did. That's fine. And Eric said, listen, the job's yours. I just want you to take a break. And it was 2000. And I was, it may have been earlier in the year. And I took the kids and went to Disney for 2 weeks.
Well, I don't know if you recall, but Scott Hudson was on the show the week prior, the April 10th show. And unfortunately, his dad, Scott Hudson's father, passed away while he was on the air.
Yeah. That I remember. So this happened earlier where I was taken off, and again, just having me show up and then, telling me I'm not going to be. I wouldn't have. I would have stayed home. So, and I think what Eric said was, I was going to tell you, but it slipped my mind. I'm thinking, Jesus fucking Christ. Boy, they are milking this thing with Earl, aren't they?
It's a great angle. It's an opening angle, but it's a good angle. And you guys were running another good angle at the time. Something that did get my attention is the week prior when Mike Awesome showed up in WCW. He was the ECW world champion showing up in WCW. And of course, there was a lot of maneuvering behind the scenes with WCW and ECW. And Meltzer would even say the wording that Paul Heyman demanded and what was scripted for the WCW announcers to say has been confirmed as being identical. From watching the tape, it appeared Scott Hudson was reading the wording and was cut off by Tony Schiavone. Of course, the idea here is, hey, he's under contract to us. He can't be wrestling there. And of course, he's the ECW world champ. He shows back up in Indianapolis to drop the ECW world title. And what is Paul Heyman's idea? What if we had a WWF contracted wrestler wrestling a WCW contracted wrestler for the ECW title at an ECW television taping? And that's exactly what they did. Taz would win and then almost immediately appear on SmackDown with the now ECW championship around his waist. Yeah. Taz, a WWE employee, was the ECW world champion. And that was all Triple H needed to hear to beat his ass clean in the middle on SmackDown. Be sure to bring that up next time you get a chance to Taz. I'm sure he would love to just reminisce about the good old days, about when Triple H squashed him on SmackDown.
I won't bring that up.
Brother, can you imagine? You're going down a rabbit hole on that deal.
Yes. You're damn right I am.
Yes.
It's interesting. This very first match and everything combined right now is almost 23 minutes worth of stuff.
And it's still going. It's dominating in the ratings. By the way, that idea of Taz from ECW showing up, Dave Meltzer wrote this. Heyman came up with the idea to bring in Taz as a surprise opponent to win the title, apparently formulated while eating dinner at a Chinese restaurant with the ECW production staff. Whether the original deal included shooting an angle on SmackDown, which also resulted in a week where the ECW champ went into the ring and lost when challenging for 3 different WWF major and minor titles, is unknown. Heyman called McMahon, who accepted the proposal as Heyman laid it out, which at the time was for Taz to win the ECW title, drop it on the 22nd in Philadelphia to Tommy Dreamer, with the original suggestion being to further McMahon's storylines, having Perry Saturn cost Taz the match so he wouldn't have to lose cleanly to an ECW wrestler and could potentially use that for footage for their own WWF angle. As of late reports, it wasn't clear whether or not Saturn would be doing the run-in. He did not. Saturn was booked to appear on the WWF house show in Columbia, South Carolina that night, and the WWF didn't want to even consider it an issue as the idea of needing an excuse for Taz to lose to Dreamer or whomever in the title match. The match itself was completely anticlimactic as compared to the backstory. Awesome showed up in Indianapolis with Doug Dillinger of WCW. Because of the belief there might have been dressing room tension involving the way Awesome left the company, he never even came in the dressing room. The scenario saw Jeff Jones as Awesome's manager challenge anyone from the back to take the title from him. The crowd was into a heavy "You sold out" chant. To explain why nobody from ECW was coming out for the TV audience, the announcer said Rhino had taken out the entire locker room, which made little sense considering Dreamer came out seconds later. Taz came out to a tremendous pop at a show at which point had below average crowd reactions. Taz was totally pushing as his WWF gimmick, used his WWF music, and even referred to as the Human Wrecking Machine, as opposed to the ECW Human Suplex Machine. And on TV, they were giving him 2 Z's for the spelling of his character. It's a quick little match. They sort of run through it. I mean, it's 1 minute and 13 seconds, but what an interesting time. What do you remember hearing about all of that on the other channel, on the WCW side of things?
Zero.
You heard nothing about all this.
Nothing.
Wow. Isn't it remarkable? Can you imagine if you had to do talent relations for WCW like you do in AEW?
Yeah.
You think you got a busy, crazy life now. Can you imagine if you had to deal with all that too?
God almighty. Jeez. The shit that goes on backstage. Sometimes people wouldn't believe it. Okay, so here we are at 25, almost 26 minutes of shit.
Still cutting promos, still talking. It's a big segment. I know we've lost a lot of traction, but
yeah,
I mean, it's a world title match and the fans went bananas and this just blew up in the ratings. I know it doesn't translate as well without the sound, but I mean, the reign of terror is real. Look at them just kicking the shit out of a beloved referee, unless you're in Canada, I guess. Maybe they're doing this for Brett. Probably not.
Pedigree on the referee.
I look at the other referees. I wish they'd all come in there and start kicking Triple H's ass. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
That'd have been good. That wouldn't have been good.
That would have been hilarious if the main event was Triple H versus 9 referees.
JR said this is the most appalling thing I've ever seen because I got the
closed captions on.
Closed caption, yeah.
By the way, you guys are getting ready to run Chicago. WCW is. It's the number 1 wrestling market in the world right now, according to Dave Meltzer back in 2000. And it was your most successful event in months from a live show perspective. They had 8,300 tickets out. So 272,000 plus like 4,000 in comps. You're setting up for a big pay-per-view, after this big reset. Speaking of a big reset, I wish we all had one in wrestling fandom. Can you imagine how much more fun wrestling would be if we still had China and Eddie Guerrero in 2024?
Man, that would be something else, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. China was so different than her persona. She actually was one of the sweetest ladies ever. Then that persona was, just a big killer or whatever. So not only did we show it, we're coming back and recapping it.
Well, yeah, because you got to remember they're going to commercials and coming back, and we're in the middle of the Monday Night War. We're not wanting people to change channel here.
I get that.
I know that Scott Hudson joined WCW in 98, but I'm trying to figure out when exactly he showed up on Nitro in that third seat,
Well, he showed up in the first seat first. And I'm telling you, I think it was in early 2000.
Oh, I believe you.
Yeah. The reason I think so is that we got a scrapbook from Disney that time, and we brought it back, and it says Walt Disney World 2000 on it. All right, here comes a limo.
There's Linda. I got Pat
Patterson,
Briscoe. Yeah, Tony, April 3rd. And, so 2 weeks prior to this, it was just you and Mark Madden.
Okay.
So I guess, man, think about that. The week he shows up, Dad dies on air, because that means April 10th was the day. Wow. So this would have been Scott Hudson's second show. The April 10th episode where he showed up is in Denver at the Pepsi Center. So it was
right.
The Pepsi Center where you showed up, and Eric said, "We're doing this or that or whatever the fuck."
Okay.
There's Lita before she was a big star, and this is crazy too. This is how she comes into the company, Tony. She had been in ECW as Miss Congeniality, and she was a valet, and now she's coming here with S.A. Rios or Papi Chulo, and they're trying to really push him as they wanted a Latin star forever until they got Rey Mysterio, and then they didn't really need it. They had all they needed. I mean, by the way, we just talked about bad shirts. We talked about APA always pounding ass. Look at Eddie's shirt. It says vagina. Not vagina, vagina. I don't even know how to process that.
I don't either.
China.
But he gives her the roses.
Yeah, she's doing the he loves
Well,
me, he loves me not.
and he's doing the whipped character.
Well, this is his Latino Heat character.
Okay.
So he pretends, that he's just being a guy.
Yeah.
We all have to pretend. It is what it is. I mean, I sent a couple pretend text messages today. Yeah, I'd love to take your mom to lunch tomorrow. No problem. Maybe we could go get pedicures after, me and your mom. That'd be delightful. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it'd be
do
great.
I'm gonna do the shit and I'm gonna smile
Yeah.
and I'm gonna laugh. And it's not like they're gonna listen to this podcast. They won't know.
Yeah.
But if I had my druthers, I don't think I'd be picking to go to lunch with my mother-in-law and get my get to go take her to do a pedicure.
Yeah.
What? No. Do that.
Although pedicures are pretty cool.
I'm not against them, but I'm
Right.
just saying, like, hey man, what would you like to do today? Can I buy mother-in-law lunch?
No.
Not usually on the list.
I marvel at how the Hardys look back then.
Crazy, isn't it?
It is. I mean, everybody ages. Everybody looks different. But, Jeff does not have all the face paint
Yes.
now that he has.
Or the big earrings, and it doesn't have as many tattoos, and
Right.
it's a lot different.
It sure is.
I just think the story of the ladies here. I mean, think about that. The two ladies involved in this show so far, the four, I guess. We saw Stephanie in the first segment. We know what a great television character she was. Then we saw Linda McMahon. She's going to get a big pop with the Stone Cold thing later. But now in this segment, we've got Lita and China. And Lita at this point is not yet with the Hardys. We know that's where she'll incur or experience her biggest push. I mean, it almost feels like this S.A. Rios thing was just a way to get her foot in the door. And then people saw something in her and here she came. Kudos to her.
Looked like S.A. Rios did some pretty good things.
Oh,
but,
yeah. Very talented.
Yeah. But they didn't really use him that much, did they? I mean,
no, Mr. Aguilar, I think is what they called him there. Or Papi Chulo or S.A. Rios or whatever. But even now, he's only 46. So the dude was 22 years old running around doing all this.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And there are guys wrestling who are older than him right now.
He had actually been on WWF television, believe it or not, since he was 19 years old. Showed up in 1997.
Can you believe we had on Collision on Saturday, Azumi, who started wrestling at age 11?
Isn't that wild?
And if you go to her Wikipedia page, there's a picture of her wrestling at age 11. And she looks 11. It's like, what's this kid doing in the ring? Just amazing. Some of those girls, some of those Japanese girls are amazing. Look at that. Eddie tried to drop kick and Matt just walked by it. Did you notice that? Huh. Well, missed that spot.
Want to remind everybody that Collision will indeed be airing this weekend, and Rampage.
Back to back.
Yeah, how about that? So just want to make mention of that because I know normally it's a Friday show and a Saturday show. You're going to get, you're still going to get both of those and the St. Louis pay-per-view Dynasty, EWTIX.com can hook you up.
It's all going to be live, 3 hours live on Saturday. And then of course, 3 hours live on Sunday on pay-per-view, and China with the grip, so to speak. And Jeff Hardy takes one of those Jeff Hardy bumps.
What's a Jeff Hardy bump?
Just crazy.
Got it.
All out, balls out. You know, he doesn't do anything easy.
Right. Hey, speaking of easy,
yeah,
I found it pretty easy to watch that new Joker trailer. Coach Rosie wants to know, what'd you think of the new Joker trailer, and are you looking forward to the movie?
I am looking forward to the movie because I thought Joaquin Phoenix did a great job.
Yes.
Last time, obviously he won the Academy Award for it. Look at Lita. inadvertently hit Eddie. I'm looking forward to that. Interesting to see that Lady Gaga is playing Harley Quinn.
What do you think of that?
Interesting. I like Lady Gaga. She's a multi-talented girl. I think it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's going to be dark. I'm sure no Batman shows up. Or have you anybody heard if a Batman shows up or not?
I don't know.
Yeah. And of course, there's a Penguin movie coming out too. You know that?
I did not know that.
Yes. The same guy that played the Penguin in the Batman. Geez. Someone will help us out here.
Colin Farrell.
Yeah, he's going to play the Penguin in this movie. Called Penguin. Be the same type of world of the Batman. I don't know if Patterson's going to end up playing Batman in it or not, but that's coming out too. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. But again, I won't see it in the theaters. I'll just wait till it ends up streaming. Well, that's what I do. You go to movie theaters anymore?
I love them. I saw Late Night with the Devil the day it came out. I really encourage everybody to go see that. It was an IFC movie, but it's well done. I'm not normally a horror fan, but this was different. I think you'll dig it. It's called Late Night with the Devil. We see backstage now after Triple H has ran roughshod over the Hebners and reclaimed his world title, and Eddie Guerrero and China are good and better than ever. Now we're seeing Shane talking to Linda a little bit, trying to get the scoop, and Linda not really sharing all the information. I was glad to see Linda at WrestleMania this year. Isn't it wild that, I know you didn't watch all the WrestleMania or anything, as you shouldn't. I mean, god dang, you got so much going on, but the idea that Linda was at WrestleMania and Vince wasn't, man, that still feels weird, doesn't it?
That's kind of mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I know, I understand the realities of where we are. I'm just saying, a few years ago, if you would have been like, yeah, Triple H and Shane, I don't know that Shane was there, but we'll say he was. Stephanie, we know was there. And Linda, yeah, they're all there, except Vince. Oh, was he homesick? Nope.
Can't come.
Was he in the hospital? Nope. Just not there. Not welcome.
Yeah.
Wow.
That term, not welcome.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm not defending Vince by saying, oh, here comes the man. I'm not defending Vince by saying this, but it is a company he built.
Oh, no doubt. Dude, look at this presentation. This is my favorite version of Taz, not the WWF version, but I'm saying he is Taz still here. He's got the black towel Jones, got the black boots, the hardcore title's on the line, but he's got the ECW world title wrapped around his waist. I absolutely love this era of Taz. He was one of my favorites in 97, 98, 99. And now here we are in 2000, and he has seemingly done it all in ECW. Here he is in the big time. He handed Kurt Angle his very first loss in January at Madison Square Garden. Now randomly he finds himself on the WWF programming as the ECW champion, but he's out first. And here comes Perry Saturn, who looks as big as the house here. He looks great, doesn't he?
He does. Saw Perry at WrestleCade. He was right across from me.
Man, I was so glad to see him pop back up again. I mean,
me too.
We used to get questions all the time about, hey, what's up with Perry Saturn? Where's Perry Saturn? And to see him back after all he's gone through, really excited that he's back. Wish Crash Holly was still with us. He's gone, but he is doing a run in with the Hardcore Championship. We got a three-way way here with Perry Saturn leading the charge right now. Again, you got to think about the optics of this. I think that's what Meltzer was trying to say. This is supposedly the ECW champion, but he's wrestling guys for the hardcore title. And as you know, Tony, the hardcore title was positioned as, a C-level belt in the WWF.
Right.
Like you had the world title, and then you had the Intercontinental title, and then you had pretty much everything else. And so it's down there, and it's like, okay, should the ECW champion be wrestling Crash Holly? And I'm sure the WWF decision makers thought at the time, but yeah, folks in the ECW arena would eat that up. Right. I get that, but if you were a hardcore ECW fan, you got to be thinking, hey, I want to see the ECW champion versus some of their top tier competition, a Jericho, a Triple H, that sort of thing. Not
Right.
necessarily for the hardcore title.
Again, I'm telling you, just so if you started and made your name with another company, there's just so far you can go.
Yeah.
Under Vince's regime, with the exception of obviously he gave Flair the championship at one time.
Yeah.
But there was just so far you could go because you were always going to be identified with the other company as far as Vince was concerned. Hardcore Holly was a pretty tough guy too, buddy.
Well, this is Crash Holly, but yes, Hardcore Holly was tough. This is the real life Mike Lockwood, a California based wrestler who was really, really good. I think he wrestled as Aaron O'Grady. I'm doing this off the top of my head, but he was a very, very talented performer, but he was a little undersized for the WWF at the time. And someone said, boy, he could pass for Bob Holly's cousin or brother or whatever. And so that's what they did. And there's Hardcore Holly. So that's Mobile, Alabama, as they like to call him.
Yeah.
He had a great book, by the way. I don't know how much is real, how much isn't. I don't really ever care. I'm just looking to be entertained, I guess. But goodness gracious, what a book he had.
Wow.
Mike Lockwood, the real life Crash Holly, no longer with us. Gone way too soon. I hate that we keep saying that about so many fucking wrestlers. I mean, dude died at 32 years old. Stupid.
You know what? How far was Taz away from retiring here from the ring? You know?
That's a great question. Not too terribly far. He wasn't in the WWF very long before that was it. Let me see if I can look that up, Ralph. By the way, we recently watched 2 episodes of ECW over in the archives. Really encourage people to go check it out because they were episodes from 1996. So his last match would be June 9th, 2002. That's June 9th, 2002. It was a house show in Augusta, Georgia. It was Billy and Chuck taking on Rikishi and Taz. And I know what you're thinking. Well, technically, he worked one more match against Jerry Lawler at One Night Stand 06. I don't count that. It was 35 seconds. But yeah, his last match. Think about that, man. We're coming up on the 22-year anniversary of his last match. Had we looked this up 2 years ago, we damn sure would have had a cake for him in June of 2022. That would have been hilarious.
That would have been funny.
It was him and Rikishi teaming up to take on Billy and Chuck. So there's a fun little footnote for you. Something you can have fun with. Taz's last match was with Billy Gunn.
Wow. Now that is a fun note.
Little piece of trivia.
Yeah. Look at this. Olympic heroes for assistance.
No, for abstinence.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For oral exams, not oral sex. So he's trying to push the 3 I's: intensity, integrity, some other bullshit. But the point is, I love that he's just trying to be the goody two shoes. Drink your milk and say your prayers and don't have sex and do your homework. And of course, people are like, boo. We want to get fucked up. Woo, boo.
Yeah.
I know things are happening right now in the private chat. Do you need to take a timeout right now? Or are you good to go?
Hell no. No. I got somebody else to handle my bullshit.
There you go.
Yeah.
Of course, we're taking a look at the McMahon family watching behind the scenes on a monitor as Linda McMahon is out front. She's talking about how her husband, Vince McMahon, will be in the corner of Triple H. Certainly Stephanie McMahon is going to position herself somewhere at ringside. They're all getting ready for the big April pay-per-view. And of course, Linda McMahon is about to make a big announcement. It's going to get a big reaction.
Right.
Of course, they're getting ready for Backlash. The pay-per-view.
Now, The Rock has not asked for my help nor anyone else's, but I have to tell you that after watching tonight, after seeing what happened at WrestleMania, I have decided to put someone in his corner. Wait a minute. Wait. What's she doing? Oh. Now, the fans are going to lose their mind here too, aren't they?
Oh,
Because he's walking out, right?
yeah, he's saying, "Oh, it's not Mick Foley," and of course, they're on the heels of a big WrestleMania where she advocated for Mick Foley to be the fourth guy. So the original idea for WrestleMania was maybe going to be a singles match, and then maybe it was going to be a 3-way, but it wound up being a 4-way where Mick Foley came out of retirement after just a couple of weeks, and they had a McMahon in every corner. So Linda picked Mick, and I guess Vince picked Big Show. Blah 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 blah. Well, here it is. Stone Cold, who's been out with an injury with a broken freaking neck. The big pause. Man. It will be lots of crowd shots. Look at the crowd. Look at the crowd. Look at the crowd. Dude, they're going bananas. Of course, they're setting up the Backlash pay-per-view. It's going to be The Rock taking on Triple H in a singles match for the world title. Shane McMahon will be the special guest referee. Both Vince and Stephanie will be in Triple H's corner. The undercard is incredible. Benoit and Jericho for the Intercontinental. Eddie and S.A. Rios for the European title. TNA with Trish Stratus taking on the Dudley Boys. Big Show wrestling Kurt Angle. Crash Holly in there in a hardcore match with Hardcore Holly, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Perry Saturn, and Taz. Bull Buchanan teaming with the Big Boss Man to take on the APA. Dean
Bull
Malenko.
Buchanan.
Bull Buchanan.
Okay.
Do you remember him?
Not at all.
B Squared. Yeah, he used to come out with John Cena once.
Okay.
They were doing like a little fake rap gimmick and tried to make him a thug-like guy, but he was in the Right to Censor and had a cool look with Boss Man too. I think he's got a son who wrestles. Barry Buchanan's his real name.
Wow.
He's a Georgia guy. I thought you'd know him.
No.
Yeah, one of his sons actually wrestles for the WWE. He uses the name Brooks Jensen. And believe it or not, he's from North Alabama. How about that? He's like 4 counties away from me, I guess.
All right. So let me ask you this. Stone Cold did not walk out, or did he walk out? Is he here?
Well, that was that's a big announcement that Stone Cold Steve Austin is.
I know, but I thought Stone Cold would walk out when she said his name.
So, well, if you see, we're like halfway through the show, Tony.
Okay. So
we wouldn't bring out our big star until the last segment.
I got you. Okay.
I mean, he may not even show up then. Just have to wait and see, you know?
Yeah, that's a great thing about wrestling. You just got to wait and see, right?
I don't know why it's on me to talk about this, but Crash Holly, dude, do you know anything about him at all?
I do not.
So he died in November at Stevie Richards' house in Florida. He's just 32 years old. He had a pool of vomit around his face. There were empty prescription bottles everywhere. And I guess he had just been served recently divorce papers from his wife, but he was choking on his own vomit, and that's how he died. I'm saying all that to say, if you're struggling with that and you've got some sort of a opiate addiction or whatever, man, there is help out there. Don't think that, hey, the answer is let's do a little more.
Yeah.
No, let's work towards it. I mean, I've had people who are really, really close and important in the history of my life who, man, they were in the throes of that stuff, but they came out the other side. Keep after it, folks. Don't give up.
Oh, she slapped her daughter.
And down, she took a big bump. Look at Linda selling it. Stephanie's such a great performer.
I was thinking the same thing. What a great heel character.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, shit. He was going to give Linda. Oh, God. And now. A family fight. This is good shit, man. And Stephanie slaps both of them.
Hey, we're heavy on story here. You agree?
Yeah, it's good. This is kind of like the Jimmy Hart, Andy Kaufman fight. Swinging. Oh, brother.
Yeah, The Rock's here. You think he's going to have any one-liners that are going to sting?
Fucking cool looking, wasn't he? Jeez, look at that.
And he's going to become the biggest movie star in the world. I don't think anybody would have predicted that for him in this era.
No, there's a lot of people out there, and I'm sure still feel that way, but I'm sure felt that way back then, that a wrestler can only go as far as being a wrestler because you're involved in this phony sport. Well, guess what? Acting's phony. You're not really killing people, are you? No.
Well,
You kill somebody in a movie.
Well, I mean, if you're Alec Baldwin, you do.
That's very well said.
Most of the time you do not, but you know.
Most of the time you do not. Yes. Exactly.
By the way, while The Rock is cutting a promo, I feel like we should remind you that today's episode and all of our episodes and Tony's Wiener sponsored by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex, boys and girls. Remember the days you were always ready to go? Well, now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up. It's bluechew.com. It's a unique online service that delivers to you the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. And the process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And here's the best part. It's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversation, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA, prepared and shipped directly to your door, all in a discreet package. And Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. So discover your options at bluechew.com. Chew it and do it, shall we? We got a special deal for our listeners. You can try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code WHW at checkout. Just pay the $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com. The promo code is WHW and you receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we want to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring today's program. The Rock still cutting his promo, man. Have you met The Rock in real life before?
I have not. Isn't that something?
So he's one of the few, huh?
One of the few. I was at an event. They were in Fayetteville, North Carolina many years ago, after WCW went down, probably in 2001, maybe 2002. And I went there and hung out. Actually,
Fayetteville, where? North Carolina?
I was actually looking for a job.
Okay.
And he was there. And he just kind of walked right by me. And I remember thinking, wow, what a big star. But did not talk to him.
I have a feeling you were there on November 20th, 2001. It would have been a SmackDown taping. Fayetteville, North Carolina, Crown Coliseum, November 20th, 2001. So did you talk to anybody? You said you were looking for a job. Did you talk to anybody?
I talked to Vince, talked to Kevin Dunn. I talked to JR, talked to Arn Anderson. Bischoff was there, I believe, and I didn't see him.
Okay, so if Bischoff was there, then that was not 01.
I say I believe. I'm not. I can't remember that far, but I remember who I talked to.
He joined WWE on July 15th, 2002. So It makes more sense that you were actually in Fayetteville, North Carolina on August 20th, 2002. So that would have meant that Bischoff could have been there. He would have been there for a month and 5 days by then.
Okay. All right.
The main event, by the way, still had Rock in the main event. It was Rock and Edge taking on Benoit and Eddie Guerrero. Let's think about who all's in that locker room that day. Because if you go back to August 20th, 2002, they did a Velocity taping with Mark Henry and Mike Awesome. So Awesome counts. Tajiri and Sho Funaki, neither one of them. Chuck Palumbo, he was with you in WCW.
Right.
The Hurricane, Shannon Moore, Jamie Noble, all of them were all in WCW with you, as was Chavo Guerrero,
Right.
as was Billy Kidman,
Wow.
as was another here. Oh, Benoit and Eddie Guerrero. So you knew 9 people who were actually on the card.
Right.
I could see how that would be a worthwhile venture. Tell me about your meeting with Vince that day and your meeting with Kevin Dunn. Obviously, it didn't go anywhere, but what was your impression? What do you remember of that day?
I remember I was getting lip service.
Oh, you felt that at the time, even.
Yeah. Kevin got in the truck and he and I talked. Kevin said, "Listen, I'll call you. I'll call you on Monday," which he never did. And Vince said, "You're always welcome here." Blah 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 blah, type deal. So it didn't go anywhere.
I don't think this is a secret, but before you signed with AEW back in 2019, before this became a thing, you had conversations with Tony Khan and with WWE.
Yeah.
And ultimately we know your decision. You wound up going with AEW and your life has been better and better every day since. But it is interesting to me to think about what if, or maybe even why not? Did you even really seriously consider the WWF, and why not? I'm talking about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I did. But it all kind of shut down because I was sent to talk to the HR people, and the HR people just kept dragging it on and dragging it on and dragging it on. And then finally, after SummerSlam, the HR people called me back and said, "Thank you for your interest, but there's no opportunity here for you."
Mm.
And I said, "Well, I appreciate you saying that, but you guys are the ones that contacted me." And it was Bruce that contacted me. And then what Bruce called me later that day, and he said, "Have you heard from our HR people?" I said, "Yeah, finally, but they said there was nothing here for me." So he went, "What?" I said, "Yeah." He said, let me make a phone call. I said, "It's no need to make a phone call now, Bruce, because I've signed with AEW. I signed with them that day when the WWE said there was nothing for you." And Bruce said, "Well, can we talk later?" And I said, "Sure." And we didn't talk later.
Wow.
So Bruce started, and Bruce is my friend, and I appreciate all the efforts he made for me to go there. But it got caught. I don't know if you call it red tape or what. I don't know who made that decision. Could have been Kevin Dunn. I would think it was Kevin Dunn. That said there was nothing here for me. After they're the ones that got in touch with me. So it happened that way. Would I sign with the WWE at that time? Possibly. Would Lois divorce me had I? Well, certainly.
Wouldn't that have been a blessing though?
Most certainly.
Mixed emotions.
Yeah. You're not kidding. And then again, you know what? I got to thinking that, a year later or so, the pandemic hits, they release a bunch of people.
A lot.
They had hired Eric right before me. They got rid of him. I would have been unemployed. No doubt in my mind, they would have let me go. So, and there's part of me that thinks that, and I'm not blaming Bruce for this because Bruce is my friend and I'm sure he has no say so in this, but there's part of me that thinks that Vince would have hired me just to fire me, to fuck me over. Never did trust him. So.
You just didn't trust Vince, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look at our buddy here.
Bubba Ray Dudley,
Bubba
man.
Ray.
Got a hold of Trish Stratus, who was just recently in Huntsville over the weekend. We had a big Comic Con. You missed out. It was your chance.
Didn't know it was didn't know there was one over the weekend. I was actually in northern Kentucky anyway.
A fellow named Orange Cassidy was there.
Oh, wow.
Another fellow, and a lady named Trish Stratus.
Yeah. Anybody else that I would have known? Or heard about?
I think the guy who played Zach Morris on Saved by the Bell, Mark Paul Gosselaar, he was there, and
Okay.
DJ Qualls, the guy who was in a bunch of early 2000s comedy movies. He always played the nerd character. He was there, and Elizabeth Berkley from Saved by the Bell and Showgirls, she was there, and there's a handful of folks. Cassio told me that the guy who played Al on Home Improvement was there.
The guy behind the fence?
No, that was Wilson. I'm saying the guy
Okay.
who worked on the show Tool Time. with
Okay.
the beard,
Okay.
the Bob
Right.
Lavila type.
Right.
He was there.
Okay.
Man, look at the swap and spit here with Kurt Angle coming to tell him, hey, it's a big mistake. You don't have to do this. You want to suck on something? Here you go. Suck on this. God, this is so great. Oh, your boy George Takei was here, and the guy from Blue's Clues
Oh,
was
okay.
here. There's some names here. Oh, that one dude with the beard from Star Trek. I'm not a Star Trek. Oh, Oscar from The Office was here.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Decent little names here. Oh, Dean Cain. He was a Superman fucker.
Yeah, he was a Superman fucker. There's our buddy. There's an AEW guy now. Scotty Too Hottie works behind the scenes with us.
You ever see him break out the worm?
I've not,
You're going to see a lot of worm in here, I think.
but I'm going to talk to him on Wednesday. I would say, Scotty, break out the worm for me, buddy.
Well, it might mean something different the way you say it.
Okay, the way I say it. It's funny going back and seeing Scotty and knowing how I know him now. You know, it's funny. There's some overstuffed beef ravioli. I eat it right out of the can, buddy. Redneck style. Just open it up and eat it right out of the can. Don't even heat it up. Don't need to. It's already cooked.
Beef ravioli.
Overstuffed. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Two of your favorites. Gonna hook it up here.
Look at that serious look. Wow. Boy, do I have some stories to throw down on Wednesday. Of course, I'm going to really trump it up.
Oh, you gotta.
Oh, yeah.
Can't just be nice to people. The
No.
fuck is that?
No, you can't. You got to fucking rib them. Look at that hair sticking up.
It's a hat, but it's still awesome, isn't it?
It is awesome.
This time is it's an interesting time to look back at. Just in society, this is before the wheels had come off. This is for the light heavyweight title here. That's what we were seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a kinder, gentler time in the world as we know it.
I saw a post since we've been recording this morning that our friend of the show, Mr. Cody Rhodes, is going to be the first Rhodes to defend his world title across the pond. I guess he's going to the UK. And that was like, wait, is that right? And I think in my research that looks right. I don't guess Dusty ever defended the US title over there. I know Dusty was the NWA champ a couple of times, but they were both rather brief reigns in the scheme of things. So he never did any international defenses. I don't know why, but that sort of struck me as odd because I assumed, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Hey, I want to say one thing I watched, believe it or not, and I said I would never watch it, but I was just kind of scanning through shit, sitting in front of my TV, going through all the apps on Apple TV. Went to Hulu, went to Dark Side of the Ring, and I saw, there's one about Magnum TA. So since Terry Allen is a good friend of mine, still is, and as a matter of fact, Terry and I texted back and forth earlier this week about a few things. I said, I'm going to have to watch this one. And no, I did not do an interview for that. because I refused to do any interviews for them. But they did have a cut of me talking about Magnum, which was from the news. They used me on the news, WSB TV. And that's not WSB TV. It's another one. WSB TV is in Atlanta. But anyway, the local station, one of the local stations in Charlotte, used my likeness, my voice. And that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is that they had a scene where Ric Flair went into Magnum TA's dressing room or hospital room and gave him the world title belt, which for those of us in wrestling know that really did happen. But it was funny that the belt that they showed was a knockoff of the big gold belt.
And it was actually 10 pounds.
It was actually 10 pounds of gold. And they called it the 10 pounds of gold. But I'm thinking, man, just try to be accurate. Okay?
Well, listen,
that's really a simple thing to get right.
Well,
Don't you think?
Let me explain why they did that, Tony.
Okay, good.
The belt switch happened in February of 86. Valentine's Day is when the big gold belt debuted.
Right.
It would be like October before the car accident happened.
Right.
So it's 10 months later. So at that point, the big gold belt was still the belt that was making all the towns and yada, yada, yada. But Rick still had possession of the old 10 pounds of gold, the NWA world title. That's the thing that was sort of lost in all of this, at least in my worldview, is when he put up the deposit for the NWA, when he became the NWA champion, it was for the 10 pounds of gold. Now, the NWA did not buy the big gold belt. They didn't order it. They didn't design it. Jim Crockett Promotions did. So Crockett paid for the big gold belt. So if anything, when the NWA was hollering years later, they wanted their title back, it would have been very easy for Rick to just send them the 10 pounds. Now, of course he didn't. They wound up getting the big gold belt back and WCW got it and yada, yada. And it all worked out.
Right.
But I think he just took the 10 pounds there because he knew he still needed the big gold belt to make towns. But timeline wise, if you're telling the story, because if you're just hearing Rick say the story, I took the belt in there and I left it with him and said, I was supposed to drop this to you. And that is the way he tells the story. If you know the accident happened in October, it would be logical for you to think, it was the big gold belt. It was actually the 10 pounds, which he just had at the house, but that wasn't the belt being used at the time.
Yeah, but that still wasn't accurate. So
I get it. But what I'm saying is how many people, it's a recreation on cable. How many people were in the room when he left the belt with him?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know either. I know Magnum was there. I know Rick was there. I know my wife Megan was there.
Okay.
But that's it. I don't know who else was in there. So I don't know how many people would have known that or whatever, but I'm with you. There have been a few little things that you could nitpick, but I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. Big right, superplex. What do you think about a superplex? Scotty Too Hottie just stole the light heavyweight title there. Or steals a win from Dean Malenko. You like the breakdancing?
I do, man. I saw the worm too, as we were talking. I like the worm. And here we go again.
It feels great when you wait. Which, by the way, is a new shirt available at lowesrules.com. It feels great when you wait. And now Big Show's saying, condoms, come get your condoms. Passing out condoms.
Wow. Can you imagine the size that he would need for a condom? I need to ask him that next time I see him. It would have to be a large condom. It would have to be a Trojan 5XL or something like that. Wouldn't it?
Would you call it a roll of bologna? Oh, that was Elegante.
Yeah. Elegante had a roll of bologna. No, Andre the Giant.
I thought it was Elegante.
No, it was, we were at a show in Greensboro, and my friend Jimmy said, "Can you imagine the size of the penis?" Well, he said, "Dick on him." I went, "No, I can't." He went, "Roll of bologna." Just, God bless Jimmy Sprouse, JL, my buddies. Big Show.
Here he is, man. Big nasty bastard, which is another shirt we could probably rip off.
You know, not only because of his size, okay, but Paul White doesn't give a fuck about who he pisses off.
What are they going to do about it?
I know, but just not. I think if even if he was 4'11", he would be that way. Just his attitude. Just it's really a lot of fun to hang out with him.
We're going to see a match here that boy, once upon a time would have felt like a big time main event match. Chris Benoit, who in this era is not yet the world champion, but a lot of people believe he's the best wrestler in the world. Mark Madden was saying that back in 1998. And he's wrestling Big Show here, who is a former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. And at this point, believe it or not, so was Benoit. Benoit held it for one day before they said, oh, well, Sid's foot was under the rope and Sid's still the champ or whatever. And that's, of course, when Benoit left and came over here. But they're still relatively new in their WWF run, both of these guys. Big Show started in February the prior year. And of course, just earlier this same year for Benoit, it's quite a tale the way some of these guys ran into a glass ceiling in WCW and then enjoyed more success here. But I just kind of assumed when he was enjoying so much success in WCW that Benoit was going to be a lifer there.
Well, again, it goes back to this: guys get upset about their creative.
Yeah.
And some guys react differently than others. And some guys go, that's it, I'm out of here. And, you just have to, and that's one of the challenges of my job. You have to continue to, I don't want to say babysit these kids, but you have to continue to communicate to them as best you can about, you're still a valuable part of this company. We still love you. And all this shit, if I could explain to these young wrestlers, this shit runs in cycles. It does. You get a push and then you drop off, and then you get a push and then you drop off, and then you come up with an idea, you get a push. Not everybody's going to stay on top, and there's not enough slots to put everybody on TV every week. And I'm not trying to defend anything that creative does, but that's one of the challenges of my job is to, try to explain that to them. I hate when a talent does not want to do something because they feel it's going to hurt their career. This is your career, buddy. You're making big money working 1 day, 2 days a week. This is your career. It's not going to hurt you because in wrestling, as you know, anything can happen, right? You can lose, you can drop something down, you can drop a belt to somebody, you can lose and look like a piece of shit. And 3 weeks later, they have an angle for you to come back and look like great. So just take a breath. I've had that talk many times.
Take a breath.
Mm-hmm. Enjoy yourself. Grab your paycheck. Be thankful you're working 2 days a week. Many of you are flying first class, for crying out loud. But some people can't. It's time for the Slam of the Week, brought to you by Castrol GTX.
Oh, will you stop?
Drive hard.
With Blue Chew. Use our promo code WHW and drive it harder than ever.
Exactly.
Rock bottomer through the table. You'll be hitting rock bottom for the first time.
Absolutely. As you can see, there is Shane McMahon down right now with a hard on, thanks to Blue Chew.
A friend of mine used to say, I'll never hit bottom, but I'll fuck up the sides. And I never knew what that meant. I might Google that. We got a couple of questions. Let's hit up over here. Amy Vaughn is bringing some heat. She says, off topic, but I'm reading Chris Canyon's autobiography and I wondered if Tony had any good memories of him.
The only memory I have of Chris out of wrestling was that I went to Chris's house, which was at that time here in Marietta, right outside of Atlanta, for a WrestleMania party, the first WrestleMania after we were sold. And there was a lot of people there. I can't remember who. Look at Edge and Christian. Jesus Christ.
Isn't it wild? You work with those guys, dude.
Yeah. So we were at his party, and They brought in Mean Gene. And I think this was the one from Houston. Not sure. They brought in Mean Gene and they brought in Bobby the Brain Heenan, and they sit down at the announce table, and Heenan called Mean Gene Tony. And Canyon hit me, kind of bumped me. He said, "Did you hear what they just said?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "Well, how fucked up is that?" I said, "Probably not, since he and I worked together for so many years. But that's what I remember
That's
about
awesome.
Chris Canyon." Yeah. I'd like to go back and find that.
That's Bull Buchanan in there with Big Boss
Okay.
Man.
Yeah.
Has anybody changed their look more than Christian and Edge? I mean, they look like different human beings now.
I know they do. Look at this.
You would not guess that Christian is the same Christian we see on Wednesday.
I know. Which, good for him. Talking about reinventing his career. I like all the Christian Cage stuff.
It's the best. I think Christian Cage is doing his best work right now.
Yeah.
But I felt that same way on the other channel lately about Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who are doing their very best work right now. So I know that there's a lot of complaining and whining and tribalism that happens on wrestling. But man, if you just try to avoid the stuff you don't like or fast forward it and just watch the stuff you like, there's a lot of really great stuff happening right now.
And again, here's a perfect example of what I've been talking about. When you tell guys, just hang in there, man, because things change. Do you think in his wildest dreams, Christian Cage would have thought that he would be a part of another promotion and be its top heel?
No.
It's just, you just never know. Just never know the turns that life takes. And I'm a perfect example of that. I was never going to be back into wrestling ever. Nothing. Forget it. I'll pour coffee. I'll do Georgia Bulldog shit. I'll work for the Braves AAA team. I'm happy. Not making the money, but I'm happy. Paying the bills. And that's about it. But look at where I am now. I never thought this would happen. So there you go.
It's pretty wild. Speaking of wild, there was some discussion recently I want you to just listen to. Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio, the big topic when it comes to Vince is, and I talked to several people, key people in the business, you think he's going to try to come back and do something on his own? One person was talking to me who believed he would try to start something. I don't see it. I don't think it's a wise move. You think there's any chance we see Vince McMahon try to start a wrestling promotion?
I don't. Everybody has different thoughts, but if I were a multi-billionaire, I wouldn't do it again. At his age, why would you? I mean, if you're 30,
right?
Yeah, but not at 75 or whatever he is now. No, unless he has a bigger ego than what I'm guessing, and he just wants to prove everybody. There's no way. No, I don't think he is. What did Meltzer give his opinion?
He said he didn't see it, but
I don't see it either.
Let's make a bet. Let's bet lunch.
All right.
Let's bet Rosie's next time you're over in town.
Okay.
Loser buys.
All right.
I say by WrestleMania next year, Vince is involved in wrestling again somehow.
No, wait a minute. Are you saying? But no, wait a minute. We're saying.
I'm not saying the WWE. He's not going back to WWE.
Okay, you're saying another promotion.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you telling me he couldn't buy New Japan? He could write a check for it.
Of course he could, but don't you think that he's been canceled?
I don't know that. I know that he has in certain segments, but I'm saying, you telling me he couldn't buy TNA?
Of course,
if he wanted to write a check for the NWA, TNA, and New Japan, and build some sort of conglomerate, he's got billions of dollars. He's got the resources to do it. He's clearly got the connections to do it. Somebody will do business. I mean, listen, I feel the same way you do. Like, there's some horrific shit, but right now, I don't think there's been anything legal. Now, if there's some big federal investigation that's going on right now, because, listen, the Alphabet Boys, if it is something that deep, they don't just come arrest you and then say, all right, now that we've got you in our custody, we'll start putting our case together.
All right.
By the time the Alphabet Boys show up, it's over, cuz.
Yeah.
They got everything they need. We're going to get you on 112 counts of this or that or whatever the shit. And so if that's the way this goes, then yeah, obviously not. But we haven't seen that. I mean, what we saw was sort of a civil suit, not a criminal suit. So,
All right. Okay.
I think he'll come back.
It's worth a lunch bet.
It is worth a lot because worst case scenario, I'm gonna eat tacos with my friend.
Yeah.
But I'm a believer. I'm not a believer. I would bet that he tries to throw his hat in the ring and buy a promotion. That to me seems like it would be easier to go take somewhere. You at least got some contracts. You got some archive footage. You can use to put together some videos and what have you.
Well, it's worth a bet, but again, I think the age is what, why can't a billionaire who's in his 70s just go out and lay on a yacht and drink?
He's not interested in that. He could have done that for 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know how old his mom was when she passed away?
I do not.
101.
Wow.
She was 5 or 6 months shy. I'm sorry, almost 7 months shy of being 102.
Right.
So I'm saying all that to say, he's probably thinking at 69 years old. I mean, however old he is, he's not 69, but
he's in his 70s.
Yeah, he's 70 like something. 78. Oh, 78. Okay. That's older than I thought. I thought he was 75.
Okay.
His dad did die at 69 though.
Okay. That's really young. Wrestling business brought him down.
I love you're in the business.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, he died really young. It's this goddamn piece of shit wrestling business. So anyway, be sure to tune in Wednesday.
Let's see if Tony's still alive.
Hilarious.
Because if I go quickly, you'll say, goddamn wrestling business killed him.
He died from pancreatic cancer there. And
yeah, that's terrible.
Fort Lauderdale.
Terrible. Oh, I saw that Dark Side of the Ring had and I haven't watched it because Magnum's the only one I'm going to watch, but they had one about the Graham family too. Wow. That's a terrible story. Eddie and Mike Graham.
Yeah.
Terrible story. I knew Mike very, very well. Okay. So now.
So yeah, take a look. This is, you see Edge and Christian making the approach. That's Road Dogg and X-Pac.
Who's the girl?
Tori.
That's Tori Wilson?
No. Tori Wilson's in WCW, cuz.
Okay, who's this girl? But this girl's called Tori?
That's her name. Tori.
Okay.
Tori. Harry Pac,
okay.
I think was her real name.
All right.
You saw her back in the day, probably. She wrestled in a bunch of ladies. Like syndicated stuff. She showed up here in 98. She had a good little run, I suppose.
Oh, look at this Paul White
with hair.
With hair.
Look at him in the little bitty BMW. That's hilarious.
I had a BMW.
You had that same model, didn't you?
Same model, yeah. Z3.
Looks like a normal human for you, but not for him. But that's because he's overstuffed with this beefaroni.
No, it's
overstuffed ravioli
or whatever.
Jumbo. There you go.
Spaghetti and jumbo. Oh, meatballs.
I love you broke the chair. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was good. Good stuff.
So here's how you do a thread through a whole show. So we've got about 10 minutes left. We started with Jericho cutting a promo. He goaded Triple H. We thought he won the world title. We go to a commercial. We come back. Damn it. And here we go. The main event is going to see Triple H and Road Dogg take on, Triple H, Road Dogg, and X-Pac take on the Acolytes and Chris Jericho. This is the main event. It was all set up in that very first segment.
Okay.
It's going to be super fun.
Jericho had a hell of a push, didn't he, when he first went over there? They
tried, man. You know, they started him with The Rock, and it took him a minute for him to get comfortable. And then, boy, he started to really enjoy some success in late 01. He's main eventing WrestleMania in 02.
Right.
Hard to beat. By the way, the video libraries in this era were really a booming. I know we don't even think about things like that anymore, but back then Billboard would not only list like album sales and the number of CDs that were selling, but they would also give you a report of the top selling recreational sports videos. And the WWF always was represented there. The Rock had the number 1 spot, followed by Austin versus McMahon, followed by the Best of Raw, followed by an Austin special, followed by the most memorable moments of 99. And then they had a Super Bowls piece, but then slot 16 through 14 and even a few more after that were all the WWF. Meanwhile, WCW had 1, Sting at 18.
Wow.
So it just goes to show you that, boy, Vince McMahon really understood licensing and
marketing.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He was really trying to expand and grow, and hey, here's an opportunity to grow some revenues in areas that WCW wasn't even really paying attention to.
Right. And of course we WCW were part of Turner Home Entertainment, and they were some of the biggest idiots I've ever worked for in my life. So we had that going for us. It's, when I was doing Coliseum videos back in the day, we won a number of awards, from the, VSDA, the Video Software Dealers Association. And VSDA would have their conventions in Las Vegas, and we went to it, and the porn section is where everybody wanted to go because they always had the porn stars there. And, but anyway, won a few awards, best sports video of the year or whatever. And, I had a couple of those awards on my wall in the short time I was with the WWF. And I think I took those with me, and I think they may be up in the attic somewhere. I don't know where they are.
It's pretty crazy to think that the company had just gone public in October of the prior year. It was a big day. At the time, they valued the stock at 172 million. Pretty crazy to think what it's become. In this era, the stock price was around $13 a share. It's pretty wild. Meltzer would even suggest in the newsletter that one would suspect, based on Rock getting pinned, this is a send the fans home happy match because he's going to get the title on the pay-per-view. He almost has to at this point after the WrestleMania finish, or they're in danger of having fans think he can't win the big one. The other possible finish is Austin turning on Rock, but it seems several months early for that one because there's no point in the two of them wrestling each other until WrestleMania next year. And of course he's right. We know WrestleMania 2001 is going to be Rock and Austin. And he actually predicted it here in April. Hey, what if you turned Austin on Rock? And that happened. But a year later at WrestleMania. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Why would you turn Austin? Freaking biggest around.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we showed that, didn't we? Them turning Austin. Yeah.
Yeah, we watched
And
it, but it
we watched
didn't work.
No, and you could tell it didn't work that night.
Yes.
But not everything works. Right?
Well, that night I've heard from people. I wasn't there. I was watching on pay-per-view at an apartment, my girlfriend's apartment in Madison. But a bunch of my friends who were there told me that, man, it was loud as hell. People were just cheering because Austin won. Like, you know, it's in Texas. It's his home state. They just wanted to show up and cheer Austin. They weren't paying as much attention to, oh, he worked with Jericho. Not Jericho, but McMahon. They were just like, hey, he won the belt. Austin won. I'm happy. We had a write-up about this segment that led to this match. You know, the very first segment.
Yeah. It's a Meltzer write-up?
Yes.
Okay. So it got to be good.
Triple H then told Hebner to bring him the belt from the sawed-off midget, clearly burying Jericho the first time after putting him over in a segment clearly more designed at putting over Triple H as a heel rather than getting Jericho over as a title contender. Jericho gave the belt back, and Triple H told Hebner to put the belt around his waist. Triple H then told Hebner he was fired, and since he no longer works for the company, they laid him out and kicked his ass. Meltzer would say the whole first hour was tremendous. And I would agree with that. It was a great show. It drew 298,000 people there. But the idea that he says, you know, after Kevin Nash had said what he said about the quote unquote vanilla midgets in the cruiserweight division in WCW, and he was referencing guys like Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit and what have you. But for Jericho to now be called on WWF programming, sawed off midget, I could see how certain people would be feeling funny about that. Like, hey, that's not exactly how you put the guy over.
No, that's right. That's right. I agree with that. Is this JBL right here?
Yeah. It's
Getting
JBL
back
getting
out?
forced out of the ring. Yeah. He's part of the
Yeah.
APA. He's ready to be always pounding ass, you see,
Always pounding ass.
which is something you've lived by your whole life.
I wish.
Hey, speaking of, things that you wish, plus Lindsay is hanging out with us. She's got a question. She wants to know, have you ever considered wearing a mesh shirt like Christian is here? Have you ever owned any mesh clothing where we could see those nipples, Tony?
No, I'm not, because shirts, a lot of times shirts itch me around here, and I could see that itching a lot. I could also see that rubbing against your nipples, and
But you like getting your nipples rubbed.
who told you that?
That girl with the mellow yellow in Vegas.
I don't know what you're
Diamond, I
talking
think
about.
was her name. I think her name was Diamond.
Oh, that's that girl that you were so fucking high you didn't know where you were. We're telling you shit to say.
You mean with the Chuck Woolery 2 and 2?
What?
You know, on Love Connection back in the day, Chuck Woolery. It's a
Okay.
we'll be back in 2 and 2. It's 2 minutes, 2 seconds. That was the commercial break.
I never watched that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, you're familiar with the show? Heard of it?
No.
Did you know that Love Connection was a television show?
I did not.
Have you heard of The Price is Right?
Yes, I have.
Does Wheel of Fortune ring a bell?
It sure does.
Did you know Pat Sajak is getting ready to retire finally?
Did not. Who's going to take his place?
Who gives a fuck?
Steve Harvey?
What was Ryan fucking Seacrest?
Ryan Seacrest.
Does Pat Sajak have the best job in the history of the world and all of mankind?
It would have to be, and I'm sure he has made a great living at it, of just not doing much of anything.
I think it should be your goal to be the Pat Sajak of wrestling.
Okay.
If I could just hang around here
Mm-hmm.
and do very little work, but be very, very critical to the operation,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be good. Didn't Sajak have a talk show at one time?
You know, I don't remember that, but here's what I know. The dude makes 300 grand an episode, Tony.
Okay.
So you in?
Fucking A, I'm in.
He makes
I'll
about 15 million a year, cuz.
I'll take 1 year of that shit and I'll say goodbye.
He makes 14 million a year hosting, and he makes 15 a year from royalties. So he's pulling down almost 30 mil a year.
Okay.
Ryan Seacrest, as you might
I-
imagine, is in the running.
I am definitely underpaid.
Well,
So here we go. We got about 2 minutes to go in the show.
why don't you answer the phone every now and again?
Okay. Change my fucking number. Fuck you guys. 1, 2. And Jericho gets out of it. Shane's having a conniption. Only got about 2 minutes left in the show. Let's go.
Here comes the APA ready to pound some ass.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at there. Schoolboy. Kick out.
Mm.
And knock Kyoto over. And Jericho's working now, boy. Look at the speed and the intensity.
Mm-hmm.
You can always tell when you're getting close.
Yeah. And the referee's saying, go home. We got 2 minutes.
Eat that shit again. Damn it.
Pedigree. Yeah. He ain't gonna do the job, is he?
Oh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the game and how you play it. Now that day, if Jericho wasn't happy with his creative,
Hmm.
he could have simply gone and made a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, I know you'd like to beat me clean in the middle of the pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
What if, hypothetically, hear me out now.
Mm-hmm.
What if during a commercial break, we brought in a pool and surrounded the ring with mimosas? Anyway,
you can't get that out of your system, can you?
You know the rest.
Yes.
Hey, we got one last question here from Denovius Mack. He says, what'd you think about Ben Affleck's Batman portrayal? I personally liked it because he played an older version instead of a younger version. Of course, I'm sure he's asking this because we talked about the Joker, and if you're watching on YouTube, as you should be, you're rocking a pretty badass Batman hoodie. What'd you think of Ben Affleck as Batman?
I liked the fact that he played an older version of Bruce Wayne, but I thought he looked fat in the suit.
Wow.
So I didn't like it. I thought he looked fat in the suit.
That's kind of rude.
Yeah. Well, I've been fat most of my life, so I get it.
I've been fat my whole life, but I'm getting less fat, and I appreciate all of you guys tuning in today and hanging out with us. It's fun to spend a Monday morning with you, Tony, and we should do more of this. Of course, yeah, you heard me say Monday morning because that's when we recorded. You could be a part of our live studio audience at patreon.com/WHW Monday. Greatly appreciate all of your support. I hope you'll consider checking out a bug shirt. We're going to donate all of the proceeds to help those little puppers that we love so much. Angels Among Us Animal Rescue. They're all over the country. There's probably one in your area as well, but we would love to support Bug and the dogs that were in his community and Tony's family. So lowestrules.com is where you can pick up the shirt. There's actually 4 different options. We keep $0 here, folks. Every nickel of it goes to Angels Among Us Animal Rescue. And we hope, if nothing else, you'll be sure to check out Dynamite tonight. And of course, this weekend, we've got 3 hours of television on Saturday, Rampage and Collision. But then on Sunday, an incredible pay-per-view. I mean, what an incredible card. One of the strongest AEW cards of all time. It's going to be on pay-per-view everywhere you enjoy your AEW PPVs. And if you've been on the fence and you're not sure, and it's been a while since you checked it out, I encourage you to see this one. You won't regret it. But Tony, it looks like about that time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go backstage and really get the real story about what happened to Tony Schiavone, the top of his head and the blood that's streaming down his face. Was it really him bending over and going for his computer, or did one of the wrestlers hit him from behind with a 2x4? Complaining about their creative. We'll never know. We'll see you next week on What Happened When. We come to you each and every Wednesdays on Cumulus Westwood 1, but Mondays we come to you ad-free exclusively on
Patreon, patreon.com/WHW Monday. And of course, adfreeshows.com. As an adult, don't we all miss spring break? Nothing like taking a week off from all your responsibilities. Well, here's the next best thing for adults, a spring break from house payments. SaveWithConrad.com can help you get rid of all your credit card debt, just like that. We're routinely helping our listeners save $500, $600, $700, even $800 a month. And you don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do this, but check this out. No house payments for 2 months at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 32416, equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.